Hello and welcome to the Gambling Files podcast, the podcast it's a podcast. I mean, does it need to be any more or less than a podcast? It's equal to all other podcasts, even the really good ones, but especially the really bad ones, because all podcasts are fundamentally created equal. I believe all podcasts are created with good intentions. Well, I mean, I'm probably being a little bit simplistic there. Yeah, I probably am, because there's some people out there who are just stirring shit up. But maybe they're stirring shit up with good intentions. I don't know. I'm John Bruford. I'm one of your hosts, joined by your stand-in interim co-host, Melanie Ellis, partner at Northridge Law. Melanie, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you weren't here, I'd just be shouting into the abyss.
Well, you still have your guests.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I call guests
at this
the abyss.
point. Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's my cute pet nickname for them.
They keep coming back.
Yeah, that is weird. I think they like Fenton.
Oh, well.
As one of my friends...
guest is disappointed.
Yeah. As one of my friends said to me a couple of months ago, he pointed out to me that I have a gift for being able to piss almost anybody off. Great. Yeah. And you don't. Cheeky fucker.
It's one for your LinkedIn profile, isn't it?
I think it was already on there.
Right.
Yeah, it's what happens when you let your ex write it. So, Mel, what have you been up to?
What sort of gambling work related, or just generally?
Well, bit of everything, really. Made any interesting desserts?
No, I did. Well, I did just make some angel delights before we started recording. So that was exciting. Butterscotch flavour, which is the best.
Yeah, it really is. But interesting that I raise desserts, because we, of course, have a sister podcast, an offshoot. The Gambling Files presents Dessert Island Discs. You should come on there. You talk a strong dessert game.
If people want to hear about my angel delights, then
well,
certainly.
Well, our guests get to choose 3 albums, 3 books, 3 movies, 1 song, not on the albums, 1 pet, 1 object, 1 dessert, and 2 pieces of advice.
Wow, this sounds like something that could take a long time to think through. There's some tricky ones there.
It's designed so that people will talk about themselves, their lives, the things that are important to them, and why. Because actually, I think we're in an industry of really fascinating people.
For sure.
And we all see each other all around the world, and that we don't always get the opportunity to get to know people.
No, we don't usually talk about desserts or books.
And desserts are important. We did one with Walter Bugno, who's a top man at Games Global, former top man at IGT. And I've said since, so I think we've put 5 episodes out, although one of them was with Fenton. Does that even count?
Yeah. That's a practice one, I guess.
It was a proof of concept.
Yeah.
But every guest has surprised me at some point. So I think we've put 4 or 5 out, and I've got 4 or 5 banked that I'm starting editing at the moment.
Oh.
But like Walter's dessert, I don't know why it surprised me so much, but it really did.
What did he say?
Well, I can't remember his exact words, but it is a specific dessert served at a specific hotel. And he said, whenever I go to that hotel, I pre-order the desserts so that I know they're not going to have run out.
Yeah, that is really disappointing, I have to say, when you've been, maybe this is just me, but you've been thinking throughout the whole meal about the dessert that you're so excited, and they say, no, sorry, we're out of it.
Yeah, it's difficult not to be bitter, angry, and that customer.
Yeah.
Do you know who I am?
Well, actually, a worse thing happened to me last night. So this is going to be a bit of a humble brag moment. Anyway, I went for an open water swimming session in the local lake. And for the first time, I managed to swim the whole 1 kilometer loop, which I was very pleased with myself about.
Excellent.
And at this lake, they have a pizza van. So I've been thinking as I was swimming along, I get the pizza, I'm going to get the chorizo and hot honey pizza. It's going to be amazing. I was really looking forward to it. And then I get out of the water, sort of drag myself up to the pizza van, dripping everywhere. And they say, "Oh, really sorry, we're not taking any more orders tonight. We're fully booked pizzas."
Bastards.
No pizza for me.
But I want to just throw a couple of things out into this conversation here. Now, I may have mentioned occasionally with these massive chips on my shoulders about my working class roots, but you live somewhere that not only has a lake, but also you have somebody selling pizzas in a van that include flavors hot honey and chorizo.
Yeah.
That is some pretty middle class fucking pizza.
That is it's a pretty middle class situation, to be fair.
And I mean, I respect that. Don't get me wrong. But we were talking before we started recording. You used to do triathlon. Did you never do open water in triathlon?
Yes, of course I did.
Okay.
Actually, the first triathlon I did was a bit of a disaster. I decided to do the Weymouth, I think it was, triathlon, which involved a sea swim.
Yeah.
And I'd not practiced sea swimming before this. I thought it'll be fine. Showed up with my brand new goggles, which I thought this would be. I'll get some new goggles.
Christ.
It's quite choppy in the sea, so I'm there with my leaking goggles. Seawater like splashing in my face. Eventually I managed to sort of get through this sea swim, started cycling. I thought, oh, I feel really queasy actually. And I DNF'd my first triathlon.
What was the distance of the triathlon?
Oh, it was just a sprint one. So it was like 750 meter sea swim. But yeah,
I've only attempted one. I attempted a half Iron.
That was sort of that was like the peak of my triathlon career, was a half Ironman, which I did in Ontario actually.
Oh wow! Well, Weymouth hosts a 70.3, doesn't it?
Yeah, for some reason I can't remember why it felt like going to Canada to do one.
Well, make it an adventure.
And it was really cool. In Lake Muskoka.
Nice.
And it was really hilly around there as well, so it's quite a tough one. Yeah.
Mine was on a country estate in this private lake, and it fucking stank.
Nice. Oh really?
Stank.
Which one was that?
It's oh crap, I can't remember what it's called. It's in North Norfolk, and and it's beautiful estate. Almost the entire race is on this country estate. That's how big the estate is.
Nice.
And I didn't wear new goggles, but my trusty, reliable goggles started leaking, and the lake water was filthy, and I was wearing contact lenses.
Oh no!
And I thought I could have an actual eye infection before the race ends.
Oh no!
So my swim was real slow because I just breaststroked the whole way. My breaststroke's pretty strong, but still pretty slow.
Yeah.
And I get out and I get on the bike and all that, and I hadn't spent enough time on the bike, and it went really badly. Really badly. Everybody passed me, and I'm not exaggerating. Everybody.
Oh no.
And I missed the cutoff by about 7 minutes, something like that. But no, I have said this story on the podcast before, but it was a good job that I missed the cutoff, because I burned so badly that my skin was blistered all across my shoulders. And the run section had no cover at all, so I would have.
So you would have been in a bad way. Oh dear.
I'm still scarred from it.
Oh.
You can actually still see my tan lines
from this. How many years ago was this?
5 years ago.
Oh, okay, not that.
No, hang on.
Not as long ago as mine.
No, it might be 6 years ago. Mum was still alive, so Mum died 5 years ago. So, yeah, 6 years, probably.
I say other than the Weymouth one, my worst triathlon experiences I did. I think it was in Norfolk actually. It was an off-road triathlon, And as part of the mountain bike route, we had to go through this sort of section of woods. And someone ahead of me had obviously disturbed a wasp's nest. And every single cyclist that went through this section was going for it. And at the end, everyone was comparing sort of wasp stings all over them. And unfortunately, I got stung on my my rear end during this. It was pretty painful.
Jesus.
Yeah.
If I got stung on my ass and it swelled up, how could I tell?
Yeah.
You know, when Goat gave out arses, I was quite clearly at the front of the queue, and I had the next person's share as well. When I used to take out running groups, I used to just get people started running in my hometown, and I used to say, because it would mostly be women that came along, and I would make a joke, and I would always say, "You two could have a body like this," and they'd laugh, and I go, "Well, actually, you know, I know it sounds like I'm joking, but prod my ass." And they go, "No." And if it was somebody new, the women that had been coming out at me for a while would go, "No, go on, prod his ass."
And so people came back a second time after
prodding my ass.
Yeah, wow.
And they come out and they prod my ass and they just go, "Oh," and then they do whatever I asked them. Because I'm like, you can have a really, really muscular ass. Just do what I'm telling you to do, and it'll happen.
Okay, excellent.
But it must have sounded bizarre. It must have sounded like, this was years ago. This was 15, 16 years ago. In the Me Too era, I'm not sure that I could get away with telling anybody to prod my ass.
No, I think probably best not to.
I should just send them a picture of my ass. Do you think that would work better?
No, I don't think you should do that either.
I'm not sure how to communicate the benefits, though.
You could just let it speak for itself by wearing some sort of tight shorts, maybe.
I guess, yeah. But, it's fair to say, as you get older, your body shape is almost entirely defined by muscle tone. And so,
the number of donuts you eat as well.
Yeah, but you can get away with a lot if you've got muscle underneath. You can get away with a lot more. And I
more donuts.
I have lived that. I can definitely say that is the case. But
we've digressed again.
Yeah, you're terrible for that.
I know.
Where's Finton when you need him? And he keeps me on the straight and narrow. You just encourage me.
Oh, sorry. We're supposed to be introducing our guest for this week. Is that where we are?
Well, Mel, you say that, but I think you're jumping ahead a little bit here.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
And I think that what we should do is, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I think we should thank our beautiful, virile sponsors.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yes.
In no particular order, they are Optimove, the iGaming industry's #1 CRM software provider. Get the demo, just check it out. If you're in the market for CRM, then you're gonna love it. This is why they're our sponsors, because we believe in what they do. Which I know sounds really, really cheesy. It's not just because they give us money. It's because I know that by recommending them, it's like if you recommend something and somebody goes and tries it out and it's shit, everybody looks bad. But I've seen the demo. The software is extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. It will change how you do business, and I'm not bullshitting. And if you tell them that we sent you, then they will give you a month free. So there's a link in the show notes, which will also tell them that you came from us, which is great. And we also, Mel, because I know that you know that they're not our only sponsor.
I think there might be at least one other.
Mel, there's two. We have the beautiful OddsMatrix, part of the EveryMatrix family. OddsMatrix are providing sportsbook, turnkey sportsbook solutions to top tier operators, or operators of any size. It's perfectly scalable. And that's the way that the whole EveryMatrix thing works. It's modular and scalable, and it's just very, very sexy. And you've only got to look at the gains they're making across Africa to know that there are some serious players that were looking at them and thinking, well, actually, I want to do that. Well, if you want to do that, get in touch with OddsMatrix, because it's sexy as hell. You can tell them I said that. And then, Mel, there's top industry event organizers, Clarion Gaming.
Of course.
Of course. Well, Clarion Gaming, do I really need to introduce them? They organise ICE. They organise IGB Live, which just had a very successful outing in London. ICE is having its second year in Barcelona in, where are we? About 5
January,
months.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if the first year was anything to go by, you know, do you know what? When I got paid a month or so ago, the first thing I did was I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go book my ICE hotel and flight.
Good thinking, booking early, actually.
I've never done that before, ever, for anything. Finton will attest to that. And I'm delighted because it's all paid for. All I got to do is turn up and be brilliant. Fuck. But Clarion Gaming, you know, they're Clarion Gaming. They do what they do, and we all benefit from it. I mean, yeah, sure, they're a business. They're owned by a giant, and they're about making profits. But I genuinely do believe that the industry sees really, really good value from that. So here's to the next ICE, and the sexy thing that we're doing at the next ICE.
Is it still secret?
Yeah, still secret. But soon. Actually, by the time this one comes out, I might have announced it. I'm not sure. Leave that with me. But Mel, do you remember who our guest is this episode?
Is it the lovely Ofer Friedman?
Yes, it is. You're good.
I got it right.
Thank goodness. I mean, they're not sponsors, but sponsorships are available because we have a family of podcasts. In fact, we've got a new podcast launching quite soon, but I'll tell you about that nearer the time. Ofer Friedman, he's the business development dude at Au10tix's, which is the cleverly named AU10tix, Au10tix. And their ID verification, that kind of thing, that can help you with onboarding verification. But the conversation is about AI and the fight against new types of fraud, bad actors. And I when I say bad actors, I don't mean the first actor that came to name was Tom Cruise, but I think that's probably being a little harsh because he has been good in several things.
He's done very well for himself, so he can't be that bad, can he?
He really has, and he's in one of my all-time favorite movies, and he's really good in it. So,
is it Top Gun?
No, great guess. I know I come across as the kind of person that would like to see RAF men playing beach volleyball. But no, it's he's in The Outsiders. And it was his second film role, I think, and he plays Dirty Steve Randall. And he's really, really good. It's a very small part, but he's terrific. But anyway, yes. So not that kind of bad actor. Not that Tom's a bad actor. There are some bad actors out there, but he's not one of them. He has done well for himself. I don't think you get to where he's gotten to by being shit, do you?
No, I don't think we want to say anything bad about Tom Cruise, just in case his legal team get in touch with us. So.
Well, I bet you that Sting's legal team and Tom Cruise's legal team probably know each other.
They probably do.
And so we should probably be careful because of the last episode's intro.
We've already attracted their attention, haven't we? So
exactly. So let's not.
Tom's a great guy.
Shoot ourselves in the foot, and let's just say other bad actors. No, hang on, that doesn't.
Other bad actors. Other actors are available.
Yeah, that kind of works. So Ofer is talking. Well, we get into all kinds of stuff, but my favorite part of the conversation is when we get into bovine luminescence. When Mel correctly establishes the idea that the cow would be glowing. But, to find out more about bovine luminescence, and AI and how to fight AI inspired fraud. It's a really interesting conversation, and Offer's a really cool guy. So enjoy the episode, and we'll see you on the other side. Oh, Mel, before we go, do you want to say goodbye?
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, if this is my last co-hosting opportunity, then thank you very much for having me, and thank you for putting up with me to your listeners.
No, I wasn't saying this to be your last. I was just, thinking it'd be good manners if you say goodbye as well. Well,
Okay,
that's it.
sorry.
Oh, well, bye.
Yeah. Bye. Enjoy the episode.
We meet this week's guest, a man who is so magnificent. No, I'm just fucking with you. A man who's joining us on the podcast, fundamentally. We are joined by Ofer Friedman, the fantastically named Ofer Friedman. Ofer is Ofer, and it's a new name on me today. So thank you for that, Ofer. I appreciate that. Business development dude at Au10tix, Au10tix being Au10tix. Did you see what they did there? Yeah. So, Ofer, thanks for joining us.
Happy to, and thank you for the wonderful welcome.
Can I say I'm a giver? As almost anybody that's met me will tell you, I give people colds, I give people grief. Just giving.
I'm impressed.
So we had your colleague Ron. Is it Ron Goodsmith?
That's one.
We had him on a couple of years ago.
And you survived it.
He survived it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but obviously it went well because you're here and we're here, and the podcast's still going, and Au10tix is still going. So nothing too bad happened. Maybe we can fix that today. I don't know.
Okay.
But for any listeners who are not familiar with you, what do Au10tix do? What's your bread and butter?
Well, Au10tix is a very, very long-standing identity verification company. The only one in the world that actually started out as the company that introduced the identity verification in airports and border control, the same one that checks you in the airport. But very soon, the world of fintech started growing, and the business potential there was obviously way bigger. And we migrated early on to do what we do now, which is basically powering quite a lot of global players in a wide variety of industries. Most of them are regulated in basically fraud prevention, identity fraud prevention, and regulatory compliance.
Obviously, gambling comes under that umbrella quite massively.
I agree.
Which would explain why you're here, I think. Now, we've seen in the gambling industry, but I mean all industries, but we've definitely seen in the gambling industry in the last couple of years issues with I hate using buzzy terms, but I don't think there's another one for this. I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and say, fuck it. Deepfakes. Fake videos, fake audio, people giving employees instructions. There's some quite well-known ones that happened in Vegas. It's on the rise. But I mean, even since those incidents, which we're probably talking 12, 18 months ago, AI has leapt forwards and it's getting better and better. And there's some scary shit out there now, I think it's fair to say. When you guys look at how fast this is moving and how fast this technology is being adopted by nefarious agents, shall we say, does it keep you awake at night?
No, I'm sleeping well. We are the ones who are actually developing defenses against it. But I think that everybody by now have heard about deepfakes and how good they are getting. But there's one more thing, very, very intimidating, under the iceberg. In order for that to work, you need to get that into a process of identifying you in account opening or in other actions. And there are additional tools that make it happen much more dangerously than many people think. Let's say quite a lot of people have heard about injection, because in many cases the identification, your identity verification, is being done live. You're starting a process, you're being asked to take a picture of your ID and then of your face, and something is happening, etc.
I did that yesterday.
Yeah, it's a live process, right? You're not uploading something you prepared beforehand. So some way it has to find its way into the process, and some way it has to happen in a way that that particular vendor expects it, because your liveness might be detected either actively or passively. You might be requested to do things. So somehow it has to happen in a way that matches completely what you're being requested to do, and in a stream which is basically live. And that's only one threat. Because the real banger here is the fact that everyone is familiar with the deepfakes you're seeing all over the place, in articles or wherever you're exposed to it. Most of them, the vast majority of what you see, is amateur fraud. It is using tools you can either get free of charge or pay a little bit for it. You can combine some OBS into it in order to do the injection. But that's still amateur. What people don't know about, and that's the real danger because it is tipping the scales, is professional fraud. And by professional, I mean usually it would be organized crime, organized groups, even one would assume even government led one way or the other. But there, especially if you are a fraudster, you can actually industrialize deepfake attacks. So it's not just me pretending to be whoever. It can be thousands of me's looking differently, having different details, personal details that will match if you check it. And they will do the onboarding process right, just en masse.
This sort of touches on my first co-host question, if I can come in here. I wanted to ask you, Ofer, what sort of people are engaging in this sort of deepfake using other AI approaches, particularly for gambling operators? Who should they be worried about here? Is it organized fraud? Have we got underage gamblers?
Look, from all the universe we are looking at, anything from banking to money transfer, from gaming to crypto to whatever, there are a couple of domains who are more, let's say, shiny and attractive to potential fraudsters. And usually it's because either the loot looks attractive or the defenses look weak. And also there is a tendency to believe that some, let's say, industries or markets are somewhere on the gray line in terms of what they are. So crypto, for instance, has quite a lot of activity in which is under the radar type of thing. But gambling and gaming also are somewhere there. People actually have relatively less loyalty and more, quite a lot of times, more incentives to regard this as something they would like to attack. I'm sure you know the reasons and the psychology behind it. So it is more prone to do that. And the assumption is that in this huge sea of gaming and gambling, there would be those highly defended targets, but also there must be somewhere enough less defended ones. And if you have automation, it's easy to look for them, exactly like cyber. You know that cyber can be launching an attack until they find the loophole. So the same is happening here. In gambling and gaming, the, let's say, psychological barrier might be a little bit lower. The potential loot might look higher, might look better, more lucrative. And there is nothing that prevents you, or not you, the professional attacker, to actually launch it on a global scale at basically unlimited volumes. We actually see attacks that some of them are, well, obviously organized crime, are actually stretching across a complete year. And the biggest ones are reaching 10 to 20,000 attacks spread across markets, platforms, times, etc.
Are there some jurisdictions you think are particularly vulnerable to attacks and maybe related to the regulations in place there?
That's a good question.
Oh, yes. If you were a fraudster, you would now live, in terms of regulations, in heaven. Well, you know that there is no uniformity. The only thing uniform I know in identity is ICAO, the standard that's behind your passport. The world did agree on a standard on how what passport look like, and how they are defended. All the rest, whatever you want. So there are markets who are better defended, those who are less defended. This is all well known, and that's exactly how fraudsters are planning what they want to do. Obviously, a lot of them are eyeing what is happening as we speak, which is the beginning of that transition from one aeon to another aeon, which is your identity on paper and plastic to your identity digital on your phone. And this will change the game.
Elaborate, please.
Okay. You're in Australia? No?
No, I'm in Wales.
Oh, Wales.
I'm in England.
Okay. Same language.
Same language.
But no, Australia, however, is one of the countries that actually is pioneering the introduction of digital IDs. It's not actually digital IDs, that's just a popular name. It's more reusable, verifiable credentials, which are encrypted, sitting usually on your phone, having two asynchronous keys, extremely hard to break. And you are supposed to identify yourself in a way which discloses only the information which needs to be disclosed to the other side. So if you're buying liquor, the only thing that's relevant is, are you 18 and up? But if you want to open an account, more must be there. If you are stopped by a cop, obviously, if you have a driving license, might be a good idea to have there. So these create a situation where your ID is no longer printed on something, it is encrypted. So that should be a serious blow to the way fraud is working, or identity fraud is working right now, because they need to identify themselves using that system. Now, we talked about the inconsistency or the patchwork of regulations and what's out there. So Australia is actually one of the forerunners of really seriously implementing everything from digital identities to age verification. But there are additional countries, let's not name them, that are way more lenient on that level. They will still, even in some cases, allow the upload of pictures you have meticulously worked on, perfectly faking them for 2 months, and now you want to use them. Or there are countries like the US, where you do have digital IDs, and you have the plastic, and you have the paper, but the digital IDs will work in particular states that have issued them or accept them, and even there, you can use either the app of the state, or you can use an Apple phone, or you can use another wallet, identity wallet, essentially. So it's a mixture right now. It's a primordial soup of standards and requirements that's still cooking. I would expect them to, converge at a certain point in time, like is happening in Europe. Europe is entering into the IDAS era, which is the same idea. But still, if you will have a European passport, a European digital ID, will it apply in or be read or be verifiable in Australia or in whatever other country? It's not necessarily the same standard. So right now, it's quite a lot of loopholes if you are a fraudster, but you need to prepare yourself because essentially, eventually, most of the passports, not passports, most of the ID credentials in the world will be encrypted that way.
Do we not need to get to a point where digital ID is compulsory before this actually really helps a gambling operator? So, for example, in Australia, I believe it's not a compulsory scheme, at least as yet. So if you want to be a money launderer or a fraudster on an online gambling site, you can just say, well, I don't have a digital ID yet. Here's my identity documents, which may be faked. I think that'll be the same here in the UK as well. I know the government's considering a digital ID scheme at the moment, but I don't think it's likely to be compulsory anytime soon.
Yeah, in most of the world, it is not. I think it's kind of pre-planned because in many geographies, especially in Europe, privacy and the resentment against government controlling oil, but it will eventually happen. It only will take years. Until then, fraudsters will party.
I was just thinking about something here, and you might call this a thought from left field, which it is. But if you look at fiction and storytelling for centuries and centuries and centuries, we frequently hear in these stories about twins where one twin is good and one twin is evil. How can we defend ourselves against an evil twin, an evil identical twin?
You mean physical identical twin?
Yep.
Okay. So first of all, let's be clear. If someone is data identical to someone else, all the details match, etc., etc., there might be an issue here. But how many people are data identical?
Dude, it's not just in families, right? I was working at this publishing company, and I had one day off the entire year that I worked there. One day off. On my day off, a guy from UPS turned up to deliver a package, walked through 4 offices. Nobody asked him what he was doing. Nobody asked him anything because they all thought it was me fucking around wearing a UPS uniform. And apparently his voice is also identical to mine.
Okay.
I have a double. He delivers packages in Norwich.
Isn't it your lost brother?
I don't know.
Listen, I assume there is a limit to everything, but we actually were challenged by clients. One of them actually said, listen, I have twin sons. I would like to submit or to try to open an account for each one of them using the same ID. They are twins, legitimate identical twins. And the system actually did decide that one of them is the correct guy, which was true. And the other one was that similar that it said indecisive. It wasn't that sure. So even in very identical, highly identical twins, there are nuances that
should say indecisive, possibly evil.
We'll change it for you, yes. But the whole idea is that you cannot effectively compare or check faces based on templates. It's not an ID, okay? So that's where the AI is coming into play because it learns to sift out noise out of the cases in the comparison, and it knows how to look for things that should be different, but legitimate and should not be different and legitimate. So essentially, this is the beauty of AI. Obviously, it's statistic. It depends on how big, okay, is the sea of samples you have studied. But that's the way you do it. Because listen, you're asking me a very good question, and I could always answer by saying, let's get rid of technology and let's go one step back to people. In your office, your friends, those who like you, those who don't, were misled by, by that person. So obviously there can be such cases, but you can, let's say, you can deceive AI technology less than your colleagues in the office.
He must have been very handsome.
Oh, yes, I'm sure.
And they probably sensed that he was a considerate lover. But that's a great answer, Ofer. I felt for sure I'd found the flaw in digital IDs there, and it was the old evil twin. But
I'm sure that some fraudsters are working on mass producing evil twins to people. But let's say that detection technology doesn't sit idle either.
Well, I was going to mention the old Ira Levin thriller, The Boys from Brazil. Technically not twins, but it was cloning.
You're taking it a little bit far. But,
hey, these people are highly organized, these criminal types. But what is really interesting here is that the organized criminals, we're obviously talking about largely pretty smart people, and how that pushes businesses like yours to take these leaps ahead. It's almost like, how medicine evolves much quicker when there's a massive war or similar. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it was super glue in Vietnam is the classic example that people give, and stuff like that. It's like bad things can have positive outcomes, I suppose, is the way to phrase that. But it's really interesting that there are people there that are constantly pushing boundaries, constantly looking for weaknesses, and that and I'm not dissing Au10tix when I say this at all, that these guys are actually ahead of the curve largely, and so we have to respond to them, because we don't all think in the same way, do we? Like we can make assumptions about what a criminal element might do or might think, but they'll generally surprise us and come up with something that we haven't thought of.
Same in love and war. I mean, if fraudsters would issue every month release notes of what exactly they've done, that would be very
a newsletter.
That would do as well.
That'd be really helpful.
They don't really seem to do that often. And that means that you're doing two things. A, you are monitoring your system in new ways for anomalies, pretty much the same way like cyber is doing it with viruses. Okay, because when you're doing the virus defense, are this system now still working based on identifying a virus, getting its fingerprint, putting it into the system, and then it knows how to do it? No, it doesn't work like that for a long way, because the rate of producing those viruses is way too fast. There's no way to get all of them and learn them. And the same thing also applies here. Let's say that technology that puts fraud, identity fraud on fast forward, also helps us put on fast forward fraud defenses. And I would say that we pretty much are looking at the way cyber has been doing it, because cyber it took years in order to migrate from catching a virus, templating it, putting it into the system, into the today's mode of operation, which is the anomaly detection. So we are trying to do the same. And by the way, when recently applying that, I just saw the graph. There was an internal project done saying, listen, we must have another way of detecting things we have not seen before, so we don't know what to expect. And we've done it by focusing on those who are actually, from our point of view, easier to detect, which are the professionals. Because if it's just you sitting at home and you want to do something bad, it will be 1 account, 2 accounts, 3 accounts. But when you're doing it for a living, you must have some kind of machinery and some kind of a mode of operation that does it on an ongoing way. So now you have a mode of operation. When you have a mode of operation, we can detect the way that mode is working, even if we did not, from day one, see the actual fake. But we know this is an attack because it has the characteristics of a certain type of attack using certain type of tools by a certain type of group, etc. So, if you will, the headline here is that identity verification meets cyber.
Okay.
Can I ask you about maybe a test case? How now? I can't. How perhaps your product would help with this? In the news a few days ago here, there was a piece about workers from North Korea using fake IDs to get jobs at Western companies to raise funds for the North Korean regime, which is obviously struggling under financial sanctions. That they were using fake IDs, AI to generate answers to interview questions when they did the video interview, and even using sort of deepfake filters to change their appearance in the interview, so they perhaps looked more Western. So is this the sort of thing that gambling operators need to start being worried about? So sort of a large organized, perhaps from sanctioned regimes like North Korea and Russia, who might be using sophisticated techniques. So is this something gambling operators need to worry about? And what sort of tools can help to prevent this sort of thing happening?
First of all, those attacks are happening. I must say that eye candy called fake candidate interviews in order to penetrate countries is such a specific use case. I mean, okay, if you want to apply to NASA, that might be, and you're from North Korea, probably you'll be using something like that. But the bulk majority of fraud has nothing to do with this. Because if it's about gambling or gaming, are the clients now holding a video conference with a platform? I can assume not really, or not in most of the cases. So it's easier to do that. You don't have to do the North Korean exercise in order to do that. What you would do is obviously, let's say in the North Korea case, I would assume it's actually people with an OBS and a deepfake, basically a live session, because one needs to answer correctly. And I'm not sure that LLMs are that good that will understand any nuance and just give the answers automatically. Okay. But once it's a gaming or gambling platform, no one talks to anyone. It's a very straightforward process you can learn. Actually, I have seen a fraud as a service platform demonstration where not only are you uploading a still picture, which will become 3D and live, and any details you want, which obviously will be real and taken from whatever source, not really, you don't need any darknet, but in the menu, you're actually pulling down a list of targets, the platforms you want to attack. And someone knows that this is how platform X or platform Y are actually doing their identity verification, which brings to mind the reasonable assumption that some of the people behind this have actually worked in identity verification automation companies because they know quite well how it's done. As you can see, identity verification technology people may have another career path.
Do you know where all of Au10tix's former employees are right now?
Not really. Why should I?
No reason.
Okay. But I know where your twin brother is. The evil one, I mean.
My actual brother might be my evil twin.
I'll check that for you.
He's a little bit shorter than me, though, so we're not identical. Plus, he was born 7 years before me. Which I would say is a very long labour, but my mum had another child between us, so we're not actually twins.
Well, but you were the best variant.
It's very kind and very true.
Yes.
And you should keep tabs on this UPS delivery guy who looks like, so who knows where he is now, what he's doing now with your place. Are you worried?
I don't know.
No, think about this. The guy is in delivery. He can basically enter any building, delivering anything you want.
And let's not forget as well, ladies would be powerless before him.
That's not good.
It's really not.
Yeah.
It's something that my Uncle Ben taught me, actually, is that with great power comes great responsibility.
Okay. How does it apply here?
Well, you've got a Spider-Man figure behind you on the shelf, and that's Uncle Ben from Spider-Man's line.
Okay. I sympathize with Uncle Ben.
But he's a very good rice chef. Is it one of the notes that we got to look at before we recorded is about underage users, and I know underage users have been mentioned, but I mean, is that really a big issue for the industry?
Oh, that is a very big one.
I don't mean in terms of legality and regulatory. I mean in terms of actual numbers of people trying to do this.
Well, more than that. I think you are actually, when you're looking at all those media reports and analysis, you're actually looking at sociology and psychology. Because, because the regulator has said that first, let's have the people take the responsibility of verifying themselves. So they need to undergo that process. But there is another side to it, which is the service providers, those who are the platforms or providing the content or whatever. Now, usually, historically, companies or service providers have always proven much more effective and cooperative in controlling content, which in this case is obviously for good reasons, than those consuming it. Almost always, consumers or the private person somewhere will have the motivation and will have the ability to find a workaround, share it with the world, and bypass it, as many extremely happy providers of VPN solutions are now celebrating on the way to the bank. So it's much easier, or let's say more effective, to regulate and implement checks and balances on those who are letting you into that content rather than those consuming it.
It does make sense.
But, it's done for good reason. Right now, the world is a bit out Crazy. Of balance in terms of the total inability to understand if you're looking at something correct or not, believable or not, made up or not, malicious or not.
Yeah, we are living in interesting times, as the old fortune cookie would say.
Yeah, it's the death of trust.
Yeah, and that does feel a bit shit. I've got to be honest with you.
It's unavoidable.
Unavoidable?
Yes.
Unavoidable assumes that AI and all of the things that are creating these issues it's definitely a good thing.
They are, and they are meant to be, and they will produce quite a lot of good. But the first to make an efficient use of it will be those who mean it not necessarily for the good.
So would this be a viable solution if there was some law or regulations which said that AI is obliged to put some sort of marking on its creation, so watermark or something, which says this is AI? Do you think that would work to prevent fraudsters making use of this?
It already works and proves utterly inefficient. I don't think that fraudsters will, well, it's an interesting question, will either bother to put that watermark or whatever mark on their content, or they will do that in order for that to be looking legitimate. And if I read correctly, and one of my jobs every day is to understand what's happening on the market, these already had been bypassed.
Yeah, so someone's thought of it and already come up with a way of bypassing it. Oh well.
Yeah, that's why the whole strategy on how to stop that is not having some kind of magic weapon, but it's a strategy. It's not a weapon, it's a strategy. And the strategy is basically a minefield strategy. There will always be an ability to bypass this defense and that defense and whatever. But the more mines you're laying on the field, the more difficult are you making it for fraudsters to actually, bypass all the mines, or Tom Cruise to bypass all those laser beams.
So, Ofer, you work across a number of industries, don't you? So is there anything that the gambling industry can learn from others, which maybe are more sophisticated, maybe financial? Well, no, I don't want to say that. Other industries which may not be as sophisticated as gambling.
Well, actually, I find the gambling industry more prone to be on the initiative side, not taking the risk, because if you want to grow and survive, you are basically under the magnifying glass. So you're motivated to do that. However, what I do find, and it's quite frustrating, is how much people actually know what's out there, what kind of tools are working, and how should a defense be looking like. In all my 15 years in this particular business, I keep being asked by people who are in charge of that, what do you think we should do? When actually it's about, they should be telling me what they need, not me telling them. And then again, one more thing is, it's all regulations driven. If there were no regulations, the world would continue to survive. There'd be less money spent on defenses, and still everything will exist. But regulations do develop, but they do always keep on a general level. It says what you need to do, but know how you should do that. There is still no, let's say, ruler or way to know if a certain system does what it actually says it should be doing. So I see claims in the websites and publications of quite a lot of vendors who I know have nothing to do, not connected to reality, or things that are promised. And obviously, as someone who's in the business, I understand it's done manually. It's not done by a system. Problem is that more and more of the fraud is becoming invisible. If it were visible, it would be easy, but it's becoming less. So I think that I always call it ignorance, but it's not ignorance in a bad way. It's very difficult to make a decision, to know what's out there, and to even test your vendors. So the same way I see all those articles trying to educate private people how to avoid having your data stolen or whatever, I wish there was a university for CISOs and for chief whatever regulations or compliance officers, teaching them not just what the law says or the regulations say, but also how to make decisions, how to test, what to demand from solutions.
Yeah, I think we need an education piece for the lawmakers and the regulators as well, because I think it's very difficult for a gambling regulator in particular, with their limited resources. They've got a lot they need to do to also try and keep up to date with the new ways that bad actors might be trying to exploit those that they regulate.
Well, in our last episode, we actually discussed that, Mel, didn't we? With Earl Hall, and it was about how the American Gaming Association has basically provided its ethical guidelines. The IGSA has provided its ethical guidelines, and that's essentially a document for regulators to use and to learn from, rather than anybody else.
Yeah,
because I was asking the question, who is this for?
It goes some way, doesn't it? But yeah, I think there's just so much more perhaps understanding that's needed in order to get the right regulations that might actually.
Well, regulators' job's impossible, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, we
fundamentally,
last week, didn't we?
It's a nightmare job.
Perhaps there is a place for a regulatory or compliance or fraud prevention university in Wales. I'm looking at the dean.
Well, there's not much else here, apart from sheep.
Sheep and regulations.
Perfect combination.
Good to have something to sell the country with.
There's a lot to say about Wales. I like Wales.
No, I like Wales. I live here. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't live here. But you do make a good point there, Ofer. It would be, I mean, given how many industry bodies there are, you would think that we'd be able to utilize them to provide education to regulators, so regulators have all of the possible tools to make the best informed decisions that they possibly can. But, that's possibly wildly optimistic of me. And I'm not dissing regulatory bodies. I'm not dissing industry bodies. Well, actually, I probably am dissing industry bodies. I'm not dissing regulatory bodies. But that's almost certainly never going to happen.
Well, I find myself being hosted by regulators every now and then, but it stays to a level, okay? Because regulations eventually touch also politics and other considerations than just the technical aspect of it. And mind you, it would be very helpful talking about regulations and how to prevent, etc. You know that the availability of data to know if you are a dangerous person or not is extremely limited. Okay, so the law enforcement and whatever bodies who do have huge databases of people, of known felons, do not externalize it, obviously in a unidentifiable way. I actually tried that. I actually talked to the Interpol and other agencies that said it's a nice idea, but that data is not actually common. It's the same thing like with banks. In many countries, banks will not say that someone actually has been stealing from them and they know it. So it's a known felon. This will not be externalized.
Problem is, once you take data out of a relatively, as soon as you start sharing data, that data is far more likely to be compromised.
No, it's not sharing data. Right now, there is the concept of anonymity or even double anonymity. And even talking about the digital IDs, you can get a yes-no answer. Not, we know that person, that's his name, that's his address. But I will ask you, listen, I just got the ID of the person with the details. And the answer would be, no, it's not it's not a client of the bank, or yes, it's a client of the bank, and they have a problematic history, red flag. So there is no, if you want to know if someone is a fraudster, you better have some way, okay, at least having a yes/no answer if there is a red flag over that person.
Yeah. But if that involves people working together for a common goal, I mean, that's madness, surely.
It's politics, it's agencies, it's obviously privacy, which is there for good reason. I understand that. So I'm talking about the mechanism.
Yeah. Yeah, but when you look at well, God, we had a chap on a couple of episodes ago, Jonathan Iwazian from ID Pair, and he was talking about the issues of just self-exclusion for players, just between states. Yeah. He's like, just forget it. It's like, and yeah, it is incredibly complex, and sometimes for good reason.
Well, I think that eventually there will be a technology, and it will be enforced sometime, that looks at the behavior of a person and says that person's behavior starts to show X, Y, and Z flags that indicate whatever. Because even as it seems, psychology and even intention are now being researched and productized in a way that even in this video, one can at least potentially know if you mean what you're saying or not.
Thinking about. Sorry, Mel, were you saying something?
That's scary technology. If you can be on a video call with somebody and it flags up, this person's not speaking the truth.
Bloke's an evil twin.
Look, it exists for years. I'm not saying it's full bulletproof or how good it is, but it's bound to be better. Okay? I've just read about a technology that will look at this video and say if you are healthy or not. You know that by a mere picture, just this week, a mere picture, one can know using an AI if a cow is pregnant or not. It looks like a cow. It's still at the first, month of it. But there are enough cues to understand things. If you understand that, program it, train it, eventually it might carry water.
I would guess a cow has a certain glow about it when it's pregnant.
Well, actually, the article says that if the cow is in labor, you can see it on the movements, eyes, and the overall calmness or uncalmness. And when programmed,
with that, like the cow's in
it's moving. So there are signs for it.
But early stages of pregnancy, yeah, I would think they would be looking for, Mel, and this might be getting a little technical here, but they'd be looking for a bovine glow. Mm-hmm. Bovine luminescence.
Okay. I'm not sure it's about gambling now, but I'm just saying that AI
stay on that topic.
AI is basically some raw material that will quite quickly be refined enough to add more and more layers to the understanding if a person on the other side of this call or whatever process has X, Y, and Z, or an increasing row of flags that you can look at. So that's the minefield I was talking about. So we are not anymore in the world of this is my ID. Oh, it looks fake. No, it'd be more and more and more elements into it.
This is my cow. Oh, it looks pregnant. I can't leave the pregnant cows. I'm so sorry.
No. You said you have sheep.
A lot of sheep.
No.
A lot of sheep.
A lot of sheep.
A lot of sheep.
Are they
more sheep than people, I think, in Wales. Sorry?
You don't have your own sheep,
No, sadly not. I have got a woolly jumper, but just one.
That's close enough.
It's a nice jumper. One of the things about, we've talked about identity fraud, we've talked about underage people and all that jazz, but with adding layers to identity verification, I mean, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this already, but I'm going to ask it because I'm crazy like that. With adding layers to it, does that... Has Au10tix become more expensive recently? Does verifying identity... So like I did the thing yesterday, I was applying for something with a bank, and, it was 2 or 3 stages, and it took a few minutes. Not a huge amount of time, but it took a few minutes. With adding layers, with the new challenges that are coming up, well, they're not so new now, but with the challenges that we're seeing and with the evolution of all of this technology, is there a risk that player verification and onboarding is going to suffer? Is there the potential for more friction in that process?
If it took minutes, it's not Au10tix. It takes seconds. But I'm not trying to do any promotion. First of all, it's a fact. It's a statistical fact. But what I want to put here on the table is something that's often ignored. Look, when someone is asking for your ID and your selfie, you don't actually want to do that. Obviously, not for any remote gaming, gambling, whatever. You don't know these people. People don't like to do that. So by definition, whatever you do, it will be a friction. But the approach taken by most vendors, almost all vendors, is very technical. They know that they have to take the picture. There'll be some long text about instructions, consent, take a picture here, take a picture there. When actually the process can be made more flexible, that's something we do. We created a flexible process where you can combine in the middle what from the marketing point of view would be considered stickiness. From the user or customer's point of view would actually be motivators. Okay, you do want to start playing, right? And you do expect some kind of experience that has to do with gaming and what you expect to get from it. Why is that not already part of your onboarding process? Why is it waiting only after you opened your account? So what Au10tix did, besides the fact that it's seconds and not minutes, is create a system that enables you the flexibility to weave into the process motivators, if you want, excitement builders, in order to get into that process. So you have to look at the process not technically. Well, I usually think as the person I want to do whatever I want him to do on the other side. What drives him, what motivates him, what blocks him, what's his concerns, and try to implement that into a product. Okay, so by the way, it's true not only to gaming or gambling or crypto or whatever.
What does it look like in practice then? Have you gamified the onboarding process?
That's one obviously relevant vector, but in a specific way.
Interesting.
The verification thing I did was MyTech.
Yeah, well, I bet it wasn't.
I can say nothing about it.
They're probably very nice people.
Oh yes, they are.
Mel, have you got any more questions?
No, I mean, I asked ChatGPT for its fun question to ask Ofer. I don't know if he's going to be able to answer this one, but I'll try. It said, if you built an AI to gamble for you, what one quirky rule would you program in? And it suggested, this is an example, always bet on the horse with the coolest name. I don't even know how someone can answer that question.
Please translate.
This is the limits of AI. This is its best question for you.
It's AI.
How are you going to program your AI that's going to gamble for you with a quirky rule to follow?
I have a feeling that normal people will not want AI doing it for them, because the whole idea is an excitement that they want to have, rather than.
Ofer, people have been using this to trade on stocks.
That's trade on stocks. In the case of stocks, no, it's a different ballgame. The excitement comes from the fact that it's a live market. You must know when the right time, when the right place. And by the way, talking about investments, some of our clients are some of the biggest in investment, in remote investments. And those that implemented, for instance, the social aspect in it, actually took the excitement level and the engagement level 5 stories higher than anyone else. It is excitement. It's basically a form of entertainment, if you will. Almost anything you can think about nowadays has the aspect of a form of entertainment. Even this call.
Even this.
Which is why we learned about your evil twin brother.
I have got a question about evil triplets.
Oh no. That's good, because it's just getting onto my favourite topic of the boundary between gambling and investment. So I'll let you ask your triplet.
No, because I'm really interested by that very same thing.
Okay. Well, I do think it's fascinating, because the point at which investing in stocks becomes entertainment, then arguably that should rather be regulated as a gambling product, with all those sort of safeguards to do with the responsible play and things like that, rather than the types of safeguards that are in place for financial services and investment.
Listen, look at almost any website that focuses on gambling. Look at almost any website that does investments. Tell me if they look different or the same.
Well, I think they look quite different.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But what's your point, Ofer?
That gambling and gaming is actually a step ahead than many verticals and industries, in terms of understanding that what you do online, in this case, has an entertainment element to it. Now, investment is trying to look more serious because it's investment. Gaming tries to be more gamey because it's gaming. But all of them, at the end of the day, have that element which simply gaming, by virtue of what it is, implemented first. People have to be excited. They have to be entertained.
I don't find it personally very exciting when I log on to my sort of ISA and find out how much it's gone down in value by this week. But
Mel's the only person on the British side of this podcast recording that's got an ISA.
Yes. The only thing you have to do is simply open the scopes, search online, and you'll find enough ideas out there that will make the point. In the case of gambling, it's not just, I mean, if you're investing, obviously it has to do with a company or a market or whatever, which has lots of factors into it, and the excitement is over. If it's gambling, it's supposed to be chance, right? So it's just between you and whatever's happening there. Because otherwise Vegas would look like, I don't know, lots of cash registers and not the way it looks now. I think that's probably a future industry for whales.
Everything is a future industry for whales.
Lots of
whale factories, fire.
Look, you have a very nice flag. I like it very much. It's very
retro.
No, not retro. Oh, obviously it's retro, but it's almost fantasy.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Yeah, so start growing dragons in Wales, and people will come.
That would be a big industry.
Oh yes. On AliExpress, you have a dragon, a night lamp, which is a dragon spitting fire, and the cloud of that, and that fire is basically lit at night. So imagine every child and person in Wales having that beside their bed, a fire-spitting dragon as a lamp, reading lamp.
I mean, I can imagine it. I just can't make it happen myself.
Or
I'm but one man.
Or a fire-spitting sheep.
A fire-spitting winged sheep would actually probably sell quite well.
Yeah, you see, just
not just to Welsh people. Tourists would buy that. Yeah, I'm actually trying to picture the box that we could fit it in as well. I mean, it's
okay. Wow. To land back on Earth, what we're trying to say is that we're talking about processes that obviously are technical, but if you want to minimize the friction in them, the abandonment, and even the error rates in them, you have to think about the neglected, yet often spoken about element of UI UX.
Are you going to tell us what that is?
User interface, user experience.
No, the bit that nobody talks about.
Well, it is talked about. I don't see that much implemented, at least not in identity verification. And I already told you that one of the first things we've done was take that process, there is a flow of what you're being asked to do, and did it modular in a way that you can, between phases or between steps, integrate actions or screens or whatever you want to call it, that bring the person back into the excitement. Sorry?
You phrased it much better than I did. I said things to make it less shit and boring, and you said to bring them back into the excitement. This is why they pay you the big bucks and why I haven't even got an ISA.
I see the point.
I think he's wondering what an ISA is.
Well, come here. Worst place, there is a sheep sitting in your chair in Wales.
It's all right. Dog and cat will probably be happy with that.
Here it's as warm as, if I understand correctly, what's happening in Wales right now.
What's that?
I mean, the worst thing that can happen to you is that here, where I am, it's way warmer. Let's say hotter than in Wales.
But it's a dry heat.
Not if you're at the coastal plains.
But here I'm cooking in my skin like a sausage.
Okay.
And not in a good way.
Okay. I can recommend an air conditioner.
Yeah. When the first heat wave came this summer, everywhere sold out of air conditioners very quickly because it's not something a lot of places stock many of. And cars with aircon. Cars with aircon, brilliant. But, you only really need it 4 days a year usually until this year.
Let me remind you about global warming. Expect more of it.
Seriously. I'm going to stock up on air conditioners this winter.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can now grow vines for wine in Iceland because of that.
To be fair, they'd have really good soil for it.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, we've got wines in the UK. Thriving, in fact.
Now, haven't we?
Yeah.
They could not grow wine or grapes before that because of the cold. Now it's not that cold.
It's not. I mean, winter here now. Things don't really stop growing anymore, which is a shame because my garden's a fucking mess all through the summer, and it's even worse now. Damn it! Jesus just hates me. I think basically.
Again, bring the sheep; it will mow your grass.
That's actually a really good call. Plus, hopefully, shit on my neighbour's lawn. Ofer Friedman, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been educational, which is what we always aim for. But we never aim for fun.
Okay, sorry for that.
But the key phrase that I've written down here, the one that I'm going to put all the way through the show notes, bovine luminescence.
I think you've got something there. Yes.
I'm so sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you've enjoyed this episode of the Gambling Files podcast, please find us on LinkedIn. Give us a big, juicy, succulent like. That nearly went wrong. You can find us under the name The Gambling Files Podcast. You can find us on Twitter under The Gambling Files. I think the handle is just @GamblingFiles. You can connect to myself, John Bruford, or Finton Costello, also on LinkedIn. We're also both on Twitter. And you can find all of our previous episodes at www.thegamblingfiles.com. If you enjoyed it, please share, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your colleagues, and we'll see you next time.